last night in sports, in actual sports, not just eating challenges, you get this from the New York Yankees.
And German, the righty, deals to the plate. Swung on, ground ball to third. Donaldson's up with it. He throws to first. Domingo German has pitched a perfect game. For the fourth time in the history of the New York Yankees, perfection attained.
Great call there by Justin Shackle on WFAN. Fantastic. The tone of his voice, not to get too technical broadcastery, but he hit all the right tones. It was emotional. Absolutely loved it. 24th perfect game in the history of baseball.
With a small asterisk.
What's that?
I mean, 24th perfect game, but asterisk because they beat the Oakland A's.
No,
I mean, come on.
Don't do this.
Wait, I mean,
don't do it.
Like, if the Yankees no-hit their Double-A team in that one game a year they used to play, does that count?
People are going to get upset with you.
You didn't see you didn't sense that reaction there. Oh, a perfect game against the A's. I looked at Maggie. They're hitting 214 in June. They're cold again. And okay, but anyway.
No,
congratulations.
They're bad. Now it's funny. I went back and looked to see was there any rhyme or reason. We obviously know about Don Larsen's perfect game happened to the World Series. So obviously they were playing another great team. They were playing the Dodgers in that World Series. The Yankees were. But I went back to look. There really is no rhyme or reason. There's sometimes teams that get pitch perfect games against them, and they're leading the division, going to the playoffs, going to the World Series. I believe 4 times in Major League Baseball history, a team that's been on the wrong side of a perfect game did go on to play in the World Series.
Right, and every Yankees team that's had a perfect game won the World Series.
Ended up winning the World Series, so that's why Manny is dressed head to toe like he's in the Bronx today, and Stu's obviously excited about that also. It's funny, so let's also hear the Spanish language call of this. This is our pal Ricky Ricardo calling the game.
Germán de frente. Lanza. Swing. Rolantazo duro. Donaldson la tiene. Donaldson la primera. Perfección. Domingo Germán. San Pedro de Macorís. República Dominicana. El 0 en el uniforme. Y ese es el total que se le pasaron. 0. Perfección. Perfecto. Domingo perfecto. Domingo Germán.
I mean, nobody does it better than Ricky Ricardo. Even if you have never heard Spanish, you could hear his voice, and Domingo German becomes the first player from the Dominican Republic to pitch a perfect game. So this was historic on many different levels, and Perloff's wondering, does it count because it's against the Oakland A's? How dare you?
Well, at least I didn't say does it count because it was so late. If you could do this during like 9 o'clock Eastern, that'd be much nicer.
Yes, for our purposes. Listen, fantastic. It got me thinking, though, about things you can see live. So even in Oakland last night, where they've been through everything. I mean, the poor fans in Oakland, whose team is now, allegedly moving to Las Vegas. I know the ink's not dry on that, but how much more do these fans have to go through?
Yep.
On a down season, when they're a bad baseball team, they're actually historically bad. And now you get a perfect game pitched against you. And I'm sure there were a lot of Yankee fans in the crowd because the Yankee fans travel and they're everywhere. But I was really impressed with how people were standing. They were into the game. And at some point, it becomes about watching history and not about my team versus your team.
Ooh.
Doesn't it for a perfect game?
No, I think
it does.
I think if you're a neutral fan who's not a fan of the A's or the Yankees, yes, it's awesome.
Right.
But no, if you're an A's fan, I think, I don't know if I've ever watched my Phillies get no hit, but imagine it seems miserable. Like you desperately want to hit in those final innings. I mean, maybe your interest level is up because you want to see it broken, but isn't there some bad feelings about getting no hit or getting a perfect game against you?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm a Mets fan, so sure, let's talk about it. Max Scherzer, who now is on the team and stinking, actually did no hit the Mets, and it happened in Citi Field.
It probably was a miserable feeling.
It's totally miserable, but there's something that kind of changes around maybe the 7th or 8th inning where you're like, okay, I don't like this. I don't like you. I don't like what's happening. My team looks pathetic right now. We're going to be the butt of a joke. However, at some point, your love of sports, not to sound too cheesy here as we're doing sports movies this week, but at some point, your love of sports and your appreciation for what these athletes can do takes over. And now I think you want to see perfection. I mean, again, these are all generally, except for Don Larson, these are regular season games also where it's not make or break. If it's a playoff game, it's probably a lot different. But I think at some point, you do just want to see history made, even if it's against your team.
I can't go there. Because against your teams, it's just too hard. If my Phillies, I get so frustrated if they go through an inning and they don't get a base runner. To watch them go 9 innings to get a perfect game. And imagine it's against a rival. I hate the Mets and the Braves. I'm an NL East fan. To watch them get a perfect game and be celebrated, I couldn't handle that at all. I'm surprised. You're a really loyal baseball fan. You think the love of the game would take over in the final 2 innings and you'd respect it. I can't go there.
I've seen it. I saw it when Max Scherzer did it. I mean, I wasn't in the stadium.
You said you were miserable that day.
I was miserable that day, but again, at some point, you have to just tip your cap to somebody who is doing something that's
insane. You think Cowboys fans like seeing Dwight Clark highlights of him making the catch?
That's different.
How?
Because that's just a win-loss and like my team beating your team. This is a historic thing that
was the most historic play in the 20th century.
But we didn't know that at the time.
Dwight Clark in the corner in the end zone on the last play of the NFC title game?
No, and I bet if you were a Cowboy fan who happened to be in the stadium that day, right? That was in San Francisco. Yeah.
That was in San Francisco.
So if you happened to be there, I bet you even say to yourself, wow, I can't believe I was there for that big game. No, for that big moment. But this, to me, some of these baseball things are put in a totally different category.
Okay.
Like Dwight Clark is an incredible catch along with other great catches.
It's the catch. It's called the catch. There's no other great catches that go with the Dwight Clark catch.
Okay, but there's the catch. There's the drive. There's a lot of different thes.
But there are other catches that rival Dwight Clark's the catch. You can regardless, we're not arguing about the catch. My point is, Cowboys fans in the moment did not be like, "Ooh, that felt good," because I watched NFL history. I don't think that any kind of losing situation hits the same when it's your team. I think if you're a neutral fan, it's awesome.
Right.
If you're a fan of the team, it's even more awesome. But now for the losing team, I can't imagine that.
No, listen, I didn't love the Kansas City Chiefs pulling off 13 seconds against the Bills. I don't put that in the same category, I guess, as watching someone pitch a perfect game.
It's different. I see what you're saying.
It's a slow developing thing too. It's like you're there as the pressure is mounting. And there's some games like, Stu, you said you were at David Cohn's perfect game, right?
Yep.
33-minute rain delay that happened during the David Cohn perfect game.
And an hour ceremony before honoring Yogi Berra.
Well, ironically, honoring Yogi Berra where Don Larson throws out the first pitch in that game because everything is, eerie when it comes to baseball history. There's always those connections. But yeah, a 33-minute rain delay.
Well, I think the difference is the 13 seconds to get Chiefs Bills. That was the end of the season for the Bills. The stakes were way different. This is a regular season game. You might be able to appreciate it because there's 162 MLB games.
Exactly.
It's not the same stakes. So it is definitely a different category. But honestly, I still think it's a miserable feeling. There's nothing worse than when your team can't hit. So this is like that on steroids.
We were wondering if this is the greatest sports thing you could see live. I mean, watching your team win a championship has to be number one overall. But watching a perfect game, is that better than seeing a Hail Mary? Or is that better than, watching someone hit for the cycle? Watching someone in a basketball game score 50 points or more. I mean, Kobe's 81. I can't imagine what that would have been like to be in the arena for something that you're like, I'm never going to see anything close to this again.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think Kobe's 81 is more unique. There's been 24 perfect games. Yeah, I mean, the thing about a perfect game is it's set for you. It's formulaic. You know what you're seeing. I think with those great performances, it's harder to put in perspective.
Right.
Like, a 55-point game by Carmelo Anthony or Brandon Jennings.
LeBron James 50-point game.
I think it's different than a perfect game because perfect game, the stakes and you're waiting on every bat and the tension builds and everyone's tweeting about it. So that is cool. But
with the 50-point games, though, the arena's aware. Everyone in the arena is aware of what's happening. It's like, are they going to get to 50? Are they going to get to 50?
But if it's a really, really great player like LeBron, it's not as big a deal to get to 50. He's probably done it many times.
Yeah. For a while, it was like LeBron, Harden, Steph Curry, everyone dropping 50. in like a short amount of time. But
I think you nailed it. There's a drama to a perfect game that is unique. I think it stands on top because the way it's like a slow build.
Yeah, and even more than like, listen, a no-hitter also incredible. Like
I mean, they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, except you can walk people. But I guess to me, it's like the combined no-hitter is where you lose me.
Oh, yeah. I shouldn't even count.
I don't think so either. I think a lot of people disagree with you and I, though. Like, combined no-hitter, fantastic, super cool, but it's not one guy.
Well, if it's at least go 8 innings and hand it off to a closer, don't go 5-1-1-1.
Well, that's probably harder because what are the odds that everyone's got their stuff that day?
Yeah,
That's why those bullpen games can be so dicey.